The 2015 Pan Am and Para-Pan American Games are now just a month away in Toronto, and that means pressure for organizers as they make sure they're prepared for any eventuality. Joining us now is Paul Sullivan. Paul is a disaster recovery expert and vice president of Agility Recovery Solutions. He's in Toronto to take part in the World Conference on Disaster Management. So you are the right person to have here
I hope so.
on this topic. Tell us what defines a disaster or worst case scenario.
Well, again, you're looking at any kind of a situation that could create a crisis for any company, business, or municipality.
So, as we said, the Pan Am and Para-Pan Games are about a month away, and this is the time I would think to consider, and probably before this time, what could possibly go wrong. And when you take into account, just yesterday in Toronto, the country's largest city, you know, the transit system shut down for an hour and a half. I think, you know, that's something that one might have to look at.
Oh, certainly, and you need to be prepared for any kind of eventuality and make sure that you're not reliant on any kind of single point of failure when you're looking at this. So thinking about the Pan Am Games, the road closures, or lanes closure, you have to think about what are your alternatives. If you have a failure to your transit system, you need to be prepared for what is the alternative to that, or how can you prevent that particular failure from happening.
And let's look a little bit more at that, because not only will, you know, people be affected, but also businesses. You've got smaller businesses, larger businesses, and preparing staff and everybody that might be affected.
Yeah, it's important that all businesses think about having a plan, a place to go, and that you exercise that program so that your staff are prepared. Hopefully all organizations realize that your staff are your most important asset out there.
So you've come up with a list that top organizations can kind of refer to make sure that they're on track with all of this. So let's go through it, okay? And want to start with, as you said, failure to inform and prepare your staff. So very important.
It is. And how often, you know, I think anybody can ask themselves, has my company told me what to do if we had some sort of an event that caused an interruption to our business? So it's important that organizations train their employees. Maybe make that part of a new hire program to make sure that they know what they're supposed to do at time of disaster. How do you communicate at time of disaster? Too many of us are reliant on single points of failure out there. When you think about that, we all rely on the cell phone. Yeah. And most companies will go out and get the best deal they can. So you look at that and say, what if that cell company happens to have a failure? Have you diversified? How do you look at that?
And that was your second point. The third is failure to test your recovery plan. So once you have the plan, you actually have to test it.
Well, exactly. You know, too often I see companies that say, well, I have a plan. And you look at it on the shelf and it's got an inch of dust on it. You haven't exercised that program. It doesn't matter how much you write as far as a plan goes. You have to actually exercise that program and make sure everybody knows what their roles are. Because you may be asked to do different things at time of disaster.
That's a good point. Failure to properly insure. Why is that important?
Well, it's important because most businesses feel that they have business insurance in place that will take care of their business. Insurance is only going to make sure that it's going to restore whatever happens to have been affected, but you need to think about putting extra insurance in place that will take care of those unexpected expenses. You may have to get hotel rooms for your employees because you want to make sure they're going to be around for work. Think about the Pan Am Games and the disruption that are going to be there. You might say to yourself, I'm going to have a disruption to my business, so I'm going to take down a bank of hotels for my employees so I know they're going to be there when I need them.
That's being proactive.
It is, absolutely.
Paul, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.